Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to
Good
everybody.
evening. Good evening.
Please mute yourself until I'm finished with my introduction.
Good evening.
Kalapena,
Sister
I'm going to mute you.
Barbara.
Please mute yourself. Okay. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's here. I know we're waiting for more people, but we're going to start our recording. This is raising awareness for the struggles of indigent and poor people. And we are here in this poetry initiative to raise awareness for anything that is not being addressed. And this is a problem that is not being addressed in this world to our satisfaction. And all of the poets here are going to read something. I'm going to have you introduce yourself when you read your poem. So I'm going to unmute you, sir. Okay, please unmute yourself, Kalapena. Okay, unmute. Okay, and now you may speak, sir. You may introduce yourself and read your poem.
Happy good evening to all my sisters. I express my heartfelt gratitude, regards, and thankfulness to the esteemed poetess Barbara Ehrentreu and Melissa Begley, and my sister Marilyn Lewis and other sisters for inviting me to join a great topic on behalf of Poetry Initiative, raising awareness against the struggles of the impoverished peoples of the society, peoples of the world. We must voice forth against the injustice, inequality of the impoverished people of this society. We are aware of the fact that this society belonging to the rich and the poor are not alike. They are poor. There are sections of poor and there are sections of rich people who are holding who are accumulated their money, pelpant wealth for the interest of their own, their own interest, and not for the others who are underdogs, who are impoverished of the society. So we, the poets of the world, should raise our voice, should crusade against the injustice and inequality of the impoverished people of the society. So we must raise awareness for the well-being of the society, for the well-being of the impoverished people of the society, who are the underdogs, who are the unprivileged people of the society. So it is our bounden duty to raise our voice against the inequality, inequity, and malpractices of the society for the well-being of the individuals. So to say, the struggling people who have no roof above their heads and shelter to live in, for the better living, for their subsistence. The children are going astray. Their street children, the boys and girls of the unprivileged society, they are helpless. And so we must elicit sympathy, compassion, pity for the underdogs, for the unprivileged, for the impoverished people of the society. So our bounden duty on behalf of the poets of the world to raise voice for the awareness of the impoverished people of the society. We must form a society free from malpractices, injustice, and inequality. This is our goal and mainstream of the society. We are held responsible as we are educated people and we are poets and writers of the world. So we must have a bounden duty to raise our voice, to protest against the injustice and the inequality of the underprivileged and underdogs and impoverished people of this society. Thanks to all.
Oh, thank you so much, sir.
Very
Thank you
nice,
so
yes,
much.
very nice.
And this was your poem. Do you have a poem, or was this your poem?
Yes, we are helping people of the society with kinds and or wealth or some money for the betterment of the unprivileged people of the society who are underdogs, who are impoverished, who cannot live their subsistence for the better living. So we must raise our voice against the injustice. Again, we must protest against the injustices, and we must crusade against poverty afflicted people of the society.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
So
Thank
this
you.
is
We
the
will talk-
bounden duty of the poet.
Yeah, we will talk about
So,
this more
this is the
later.
bounden duty
Thank you
of the
so much.
raise
Stay
our voice.
and wait for the discussion, please, so that we can talk together. Okay, good. So now I'm going to give
Okay,
this
okay.
to Melissa.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to our Poetry Awareness Initiative, which was a brainchild of me and Barbara, because we had discussed this, that topics needed to be further elaborated on because they are so serious, and people need to open their eyes to what's going on in the world. My poem is a little bit different. It's about a young lady that was a very popular person from an excellent background, and her life changed, and then she became an insignificant being. And this has a lot to do with the drug issues in the USA and mental health issues as well. And people talk about helping others. People talk about praying for others, but there's not enough that is actually accomplished to help people in this world, whether they are the poorest people in our society, the sickest people in our society, people that do not have any loved ones, people with mental health issues, depression. And I will start my poem, and the title is Homeless. Academically, a stellar student, homecoming queen, head cheerleader, and a volunteer assisting the poor and needy in her community. She became involved with the party scene and soon addicted to methamphetamine, a journey of stealing from her parents, family, and friends started. She was able to easily manipulate her father since she was his shining star. Rehabilitative measures did not halt her addictions. Soon she left home with a drug dealer. Sorry, I lost my poem.
No, that's okay.
The drug dealer arranged for her to become a stripper to earn money for their lifestyle. She was losing her beauty, and the clubs would no longer hire her. Her boyfriend was keeping her drugged out and filled with alcohol for the reason for men to pop her for money. And you know what I mean by popping. And you know what I mean by popping her for money. Soon she was kicked out of his apartment and homeless and all alone. She soon became very wary of the ridicule and disdain from the alleged good members of society. She would hunt for food in the garbage bins in the alleys behind restaurants. Her teeth were missing from drug use, ratted hair filled with head lice, tattered and filthy clothing, and no longer a beauty queen. A man in a van stopped one night to offer assistance and to drive her to a shelter. She refused, and he gifted her with a pillow, blanket, clean clothing, and toiletry items. He checked on her frequently and built her trust. So at the shelter, she went to the shelter, and at the shelter, she met women with mental health issues and stories of destitution and poverty. She cleaned up her addictions and went back to the streets and met a young man, homeless again and stealing to survive. She became quite ill and presented herself to the emergency room. Pregnancy was her diagnosis. The young man left immediately. Her family was contacted and would not support her or provide any assistance. She refused to return to the shelter. She selected the option of returning to the streets and the blackness of a life without love or anyone that truly cared. She met an older couple and joined them in the woods where they had tents for shelter. It snowed all day and the temperatures plummeted that night. The old lady froze to death. The old man blamed the young lady and pistol whipped her until she bled to death. He has been sentenced to murder and is finally warm and eating 3 meals a day.
Gosh. Wonderful, wonderful.
And these types of
Oh my
events happen in the
goodness.
US. These types of events happen in the USA, and it's really very sad. And there's an uptick of drug abuse in this country and mental health issues.
Okay, well, while you were reading that incredible poem, we had Sujata Paul come in. Sujata,
Good morning.
good morning.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning.
to see
Barbara.
you.
Wonderful to see
Yes.
you.
Good
So
evening,
happy to
Sujata.
see you. So
Thank
glad
you,
you
thank
could
you.
make it.
Yes.
And-
Hi, everyone. Barbara ma'am, Melissa ma'am, Mary ma'am,
Ah,
Good
Kalipada
morning.
sir,
happy
and
to see
Priya
you.
Lakshmi. Thank you. After a long time, we are in the same frame. I am
Yes.
feeling so.
Yes, we have tried, but
Yes.
we haven't been able
Yes.
to get you here, but so wonderful. And now I'm going to go to Mary Lynn, who is
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All
Third.
right. Well, let me get my thing up here. Well, let me say first before I get it up there. This is not exactly a poem. I did write a poem that had to do with it, but it did not explain exactly what I wanted to say. But this is a writing that I did, and you'll see. Anyway, I am a poet from the United States, Mary Lynn Louise. I am a director on motivational strips. So that's my introduction, and I love poetry. So here we go. Let me get it up here so I can see it and read it. Okay. All right, the name of it is What I Have Learned and What I Now Believe. I talk to so many very lonely, hurting, and homeless people of all ages every single day. My heart weeps for them because I feel their pain. Sometimes my eyes are flooded with so many tears that I can't even see the keyboard to answer them. Empathy fills my soul, and I feel like emotions of these people to the point that my body and soul hurts. Every situation is unique, and the emotions expressed take different forms. Sometimes, most times, I say, "Oh God, give me the words to say to this person to bring hope and comfort to them. Let the words that I speak come from you, Lord. Please, God, help me now." The young man who wishes with all of his heart just to have a family, but his hopes are dashed against the wind because he doesn't have the money that it takes to secure a wife and meet the requirements of his society. The young woman whose heart longs for the one that she loves, but is forced to marry a man twice her age that is able to secure her because he does have the money to pay for her family's demands. The elderly man whose wife of so many years has departed, and now he is alone and no one to talk to or to console him as he weeps for his loss. The elderly widow woman who is childless and has no means to meet her needs now. Saddest of all to me is the woman who loved her husband so much that she took her 2 children and herself and stepped in front of a train to release her husband from all of the responsibilities of taking care of those that she feels it is so hopeless. The mother and father who allowed their young girls to go to the city because they have been promised that they will be given the chance to a lifetime to give a good and wonderful life, then to find out that they were sold into human slavery, and now they don't even know if they are alive and not, alive or not guilty. And they feel so guilty, they feel of having done something so horrible, thinking they had done something that they could, they're lovely. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, let me back up here. They sold into human slavery, and now they don't even know if they are alive or not, and the guilt they feel of having done something so horrible, thinking they had done the best thing they could for their lovely daughters. The small child left alone in the street to find for themselves, abandoned for whatever reason, is crawling about with tears running down its cheeks, and it tries to find food and shelter in to just survive the present moment. They do not even understand what is happening to them. Society walks by them without even a glance because it is so common. These are the things, these are not things I am making up. These are things I have seen. When I went to Pakistan, my life was changed forever. I boarded the plane to come home 3 days prior to September 11th, 2001. I know in my heart that this was the will of God for me. I never would have had a love for these people and that part of the world had I not gone when I did. I came home with the haunting eyes of a little boy that looked at me with such a, such a feeling of hopelessness in his eyes that to this day, I'm sorry, this day haunts
It's
me.
okay. It's okay.
I wanted so much to pick him up and love him and bring him home with me, but I knew there was no way I could do that at all. But if I could have, I would have. What is wrong with this world that goodness and loving kindness cannot be given because of rules and regulations of man? I try hard to forgive this injustice to humanity, the greed of power, the men and women who seek it for themselves. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble here. Let's see. The greed and the power, the men and women who seek it for their own egos, cause so much pain and heartache. Their people suffer excruciating pains of hunger, disease, and untold and atrocities perpetrated upon them by the ones who are meant to be their leaders and protectors. God forgive, and God help me to forgive. I saw these same things in the United Arab Emirates, where I lived for 5 years, and also in Egypt for 5 years. I know what I am talking about. In these countries, the caste system is very much alive. The poor are still treated as slaves. Not much hope for ever escaping the class you were born into. I learned that all men everywhere are the same. They have all of the same desires that we as Americans have, but they have not the opportunities and freedoms that we have to pursue their dreams. They want to get married, have families, to be able to feed and clothe them and to give them the necessary things in life, to be happy and to be productive citizens of their society, to teach and raise their children to love the humanity, to have hope in a better life for all people. What I learned is that freedom really means, what I learned was what freedom really means and what it would be like not to have our freedom. I learned what it means to live in fear of those who are over you. I learned what it means to be without hope. I learned most of all how blessed I was to be born in America, to never take my freedom lightly, to be committed to all of the rights and freedoms that are given to us by our Constitution. God bless America and our people. Let us never forget to take for granted what so many have fought for and died for to ensure our freedom. Every American is responsible for continuing this fight, not just the politicians and the few active political people who really get involved. Prayer changes things. Pray if you can't do anything else. Prayer is not the last resort. you seek, it is the first thing you do daily. Pray for our leaders, regardless of how you feel about them. They are there because they were elected by the people. We voted them in, so pray for them. Then next time the race is on and it is time to vote, I hope you have done your homework and made it a decision to vote for the best person based on your beliefs and moral convictions. And when prayer is wisdom, prayer and wisdom, you will be ready to cast that vote. I feel that America is the light of the world. We are not perfect and probably will never be, but we are still the best example of what freedom is all about. And what we do does bring hope to the rest of the world. May the light of freedom and our love of God shine forth and bring glory to God we serve. I know God doesn't need us, but we sure need God. I still believe the United States of America is still one nation under God. I have hope that it is, and I pray it always will be. I always pray for world peace. God is love. He loves us all. Why can't we? And that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Mary Lynn.
And I wasn't
So much.
meaning to, I feel the same way about all countries, all countries, not just the United
No,
States.
this is,
We
you're
all
correct,
are
yeah.
responsible for those leaders that we put up there. You need
Right.
to really be careful.
We want to use this time to read our poems, so we can talk about this more, but thank you so much, Mary Lynn, for your observations and your empathy and all of that you just gave us. So
And
thank you
cried.
very
I'm
much.
sorry I cried, but
No, you have extreme empathy. This subject is a very strong subject, and we are speaking about it and raising awareness of our feelings. So yes, please, if you have feelings, show them. You're a human being, so show them. I'm going to go next to Priya Lakshmi, who came in before. Please unmute, Priya Lakshmi. Thank you so
Hello,
much
ma'am.
for coming.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and good evening.
morning.
And it was such a pleasure to listen to all of you. And I could feel Mary, ma'am. She was feeling what she wrote. So definitely that was so natural. And that is what we poets are. We feel our words. That's what we are all about. So I really liked it, whatever Melissa ma'am, Mary ma'am had spoken, and Kalipada sir also. So now, on my part, today I would like to say that we have got a very good theme for letting out our words. So Melissa ma'am and Barbara ma'am has come up with a very nice theme, not even today, but always, every Saturday, whatever meeting we have done. I think all the topics have been really such wonderful topics and worth discussion. So today, I have written a poem as we have talked about impoverished people, raising awareness about such people. So I have written a poem regarding, you can say, a downtrodden person, a beggar who sits on the road and what his condition may be. So I have titled my poem as Who is Blind? So as I read the poem, it's like a story. So I hope you can get it through my words. So my poem is titled, Who is Blind? Yesterday, like all other days, I saw him once again, sitting with eyes dry, maybe running out of tears, tattered clothes just like his tattered soul. cleaning his place under the lamppost as usual. He was blind in one eye, never had money for a pie. At home, his babies cry. How long will their mother try? I watched him like always. Going out for my work, I always feel his agony. Withstanding the weather, sunny or rainy, he sat there staring blankly. Many people pass by, but none cares to give him a penny. Every day it is the same story. Luxury cars, rich clothes, and the like. A road everyone uses just like him. Everyone passes by to be in the race, but none showers him help with grace. His existence seems to have no trace. For his family, not death, but life he will embrace. I give him a little help that I could. Conditions for him are so bleak and so rude. Just then, I see a little girl rushing to him, smiling and jumping joyfully. He goes to a shop to buy for her candy. The smiles on their faces are priceless. Happiness seemed to be timeless. I wondered, why can't we shower a little kindness? Maybe a little help from all of us can make a difference. They can then see hunger and poverty's disappearance. A family they can raise with hope and sunshine. But who cares how they dine? I wonder, who is impoverished? They or our mentality? Where have we locked our sensitivity? So this is my poem. And
Wow.
so here I actually say that who has actually lost the sensitivity? It is them or the people who are capable like us, but still we do not care for such people. So it's quite a lot of thought regarding this topic, which I have really loved it, and I wanted to write this. So within a very short time, I actually wanted to go it like a story, and then I wrote it with a little bit of rhyming words
Beautiful.
to make it
So
a
good.
poem. So I
Awesome.
hope you all
So
have
good. I
liked it.
just
Storytelling.
love this.
Awesome.
Just
Thank you
beautiful.
so much.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Priya
Thank you.
Lakshmi.
Awesome and excellent.
Thank you,
and
Sujata Di.
outstanding.
Beautiful.
Thank you
And
so
now-
much, sir.
And now we will go to Sujata. Sujata, thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Barbara ma'am, for providing such a wonderful platform, I must say. And it's my pleasure and honor as well that after a long gap, I find all of you in a single frame. Due to my family affair, I was something busy, but feeling glad that today I have succeeded to appear online with all of you, all these wonderful souls, especially all four of you. So very good morning and good evening to everyone, and greetings from India. And we all know each other, so no need to say anything extra. I would like to read out. Yes. Yes. Would like to read out my small poem. Actually, in a hurry, I have just written it a little before. So here it goes. And the title of the poem is Right to Live. Look at those empty stomach kids, suffering their moms not to be able to feed them. Look at the indifferent eyes of the students in the classroom, paid no attention at all, need the food, the primary need. After that comes education. Look at those feeble, impoverished people. Could be counted their bones, no flesh in their bodies. Gold, to them, gold, cashes, all are invaluable. Look at those youths whom the civilized people found stealing in their houses, looted banks even. The extreme poverty made them so. Raise awareness for those who need a good heart to love, help, and to take care of them. Is the duty of the intellectual people to raise awareness of the struggle of impoverished people through organizing book club, creative steps like writing, donating something as one's own ability, as if the poverty-stricken ones could never get upset for their wretched condition. For the right to live with all the basic needs has everyone, because we are all the God's wonderful creation. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sujata. And
Thank you, madam.
oh, just so the poems today just okay. I finally, Melissa, found my poem. Yay. Yay. I looked for it all night, but I found it. And mine is about this couple that I saw on the road. And it's a very sad situation. And here goes. It's called Desperate People. And by the way, before I read my poem, I just want to say that I know of people who are in camps right now who are very literate, who are trying to publish books. One particular person has me write forwards for the books that he's translating. And so poverty-stricken people can still be very intellectual, and it's very sad. Their situation is so sad. The people who are in camps, who've lost their homes. And this one is called Desperate People. It's about people in America. And just my observations of this couple. Desperate People. By the roadside in the median, filled with lush green grass, the girl sat cross-legged, 60s style, looking as if she would burst into folk song, just sitting, watching the traffic go by, as if she hadn't a care in the world. And the man stood in front, holding a cardboard sign ripped from a box and lettered homeless. No, my mind said to me, these right out of Woodstock people should be at a concert, not soliciting handouts on the exit for Stu Leonard's in Norwalk, watching others going places to fill their homes with food, while inside of this couple is an abyss of empty hold stomachs, and their hearts know this is a futile attempt. Yet they squatted there, he standing and she in the grass, and I wondered if someone would stop and give them money to stave off the sad desperation of needing food and shelter. Would someone do what is needed to help this couple who have obviously lost their pride and find themselves here in the middle of traffic, hoping to catch the attention of anyone whose heart has not hardened yet? And I weep for them, this young couple, now so desperate and forlorn, for the girl sitting in the grass, for the man who must hold a cardboard hand-lettered sign, for all the people with sightless eyes and barren hearts who are exiting to buy food this couple will never see. And for a non-existent home, this couple will not have, at least not today. And I wonder how they came to this spot. What was their path as they maneuvered here? What grabbed them in their lives and barred them from the normal path? Was it the lure of the quick high or too many trips to the mall? Had they run out of parents or parents' money? Had he lost his job, or had she or had the insane pace of this material world twisted them in the tornado of greed and desire caused by the constant bombardment of messages urging us to get more, more, more? Why was someone not stopping? And why were we not stopping as we whiz past, as if our small recompense would salve their pain? And all I could think was, why are these should-be middle-class people in this predicament, in the grass, near an exit ramp, letting everyone know they are homeless?
Mm, mm, mm.
And
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks.
You see that all the time.
And it's just, so that just got me. And we don't have any more people, so we can start our discussion. And who would like to begin? I mean, it's just so much to talk about, and so many things to talk about to raise our awareness of what is going on with indigent or
Well,
insolvent people. Mary Lynn?
well, I don't remember her name, but the one that did the poem about the
Priya
story, huh?
Priya Lakshmi.
Yes, that one. Boy, I'm telling you what, that reminded me of when I was in Egypt. It was such a thing that just hit me just so. It was like a story out of the Bible. We had gone to the fish market, and I didn't feel real good, so I stayed in the car, and they went and got the fish. Well, anyway, there was a woman that was very, very poor. You could tell, very, very poor. And she sat down on the curb right almost in front of me. Well, she didn't know that. And she had a baby in her arms, and she was holding that baby. And you could tell she was hungry. And all of these rich people, buying, like she said, buying their food and all that stuff went by her. Nobody even glanced at her. Then this little boy, probably about 4 or 5 years old enough to be by himself, he was going to the market. And he looked at her as he walked by, and he just kind of glanced at her, and then he went on. And then in a little while, he came back, and he had a little bag. And in that little bag, I don't know whether you know it or not, but over there, they have what they call, I don't know, it's a breakfast sandwich that they make, and they get like 3 for whatever. And so he went and he bought that. When he came back, he opened up that little package, and he gave her 2 of them, which meant that he only got 1. And I cried. And when my people came back, I said, give her some money, give her some money. Because I thought, oh my gosh, all of these people passing her by. But it took a little boy that paid attention. His heart was pure. And I was just so pleased. And yeah, my poem, when I read it, yes, it made me cry. Because so many times I have seen those kind of things. And here in America, we have that. We have those people on the streets, with the signs everywhere you go. They're there. And right now, with the conditions here in America, we have a lot of people who are hardworking. They're hardworking. They've been working, but because of the way things are now, they have no jobs because of COVID or losing their jobs or whatever. They have no jobs. And now here, these hardworking people are absolutely homeless. We have more children that go to school, that have no food. We're giving them food to take home with them for the weekend so they can survive until they come back to school on Monday. It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
It's terrible. I have to say, we have a new guest. Priyanka Banerjee came in. Please unmute yourself, Priyanka. Introduce.
Yeah, hello.
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 Yeah, actually, I went to a doctor's chamber with my daughter, so that's why I'm late, ma'am. Sorry.
Oh no, is your daughter okay?
I'm Priyanka Banerjee, an academician and a poet from Bengal, from Kolkata.
Is your
Can
daughter
I read out?
okay? Is your daughter okay?
Yes, yeah. She's okay now.
Okay, good.
Can I read out my poem now, ma'am?
Yes, definitely. Yes, yes.
Okay. This is a poem. Your topic was, ma'am, it was about the downtrodden people, right? So I have tried to write down a poem which expresses the theme of loss and deprivation in a very, very symbolical way. I mean, I haven't referred to this section of the society directly, but in a highly symbolical way, I have tried to portray the feeling of loss, deprivation, and rejection that a certain class of people, that is the marginalized section of our society, experiences. The title of my poem is The Marginalized One. The lotus blooms within me, spreading its hue over my sinews, veins, cells, bone marrow. The hungry infant wishes to leap up and engulf the golden ball of fire. When they beat up drums in the darkest woods of the savage land of catastrophic victory and mad deluge. Hunger of the body defies soul's lustful pleasure. Memories fly high in the air with the martyred moment's anguish and ire. In soul and heart challenged, tongue's lustful instinct, bloody bloodless drops of sweat, empowered moments of fight, stripes, shelterless, restless life of hard labor massacre. Let the tide of love turn ashes, winds of ashes, into epiphanic pleasure, satire into structure, romance of rapture. You can kill the refugees. You can cheat on the mad woman. You can steal the glow of skin from the face of the lost immigrant. But like dust, they will rise up and ruin your center. Power of labor can transform the ever-floating, ever-restless, gentlest, classless universe. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Very
Thank
nice.
you so
Very
much, Priyanka. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving
Very nice,
us
Priyanka.
an amazing poem.
It's really very nice.
Oh, yes, and we are in the middle of discussion. So you missed some of the poems, but we are very happy that you came here. Anybody else have anything to say that about the poems that we heard so far, or about this whole topic? I mean, I can just say that I went to India in 1971, I believe, or two. I'm trying to remember whether it was 71 or 70. I think it was 71. And there were beggars all over the place, women who held babies and beggars. And I was told by an Indian person not to give any money to them because they were an organized group and that they had put them out there to get money and that they weren't getting money, but they were giving the money to the people. And so I didn't give money. As much as I wanted to, I didn't give money to them.
Yes, there are cases like that. Like there are many rackets, you can say. So they use these small children also to beg, and then they will be giving that money to the other people who are concerned with that racket. So those things are also there. So I think the person who has advised you has done the right thing because they know it. But that's what, like, there are genuine cases also where I think we should really help, because like nowadays I would like to point out something. People are making a lot of reels and videos. I don't know if you have watched it. You will be finding in YouTube or any other platforms. What they do is that they go out and help the homeless, but with them they carry along the camera. That is, when they are helping out, they will be clicking pictures, they will be recording the video, and then they will be showcasing that to get to get popularity of their videos and all that. So those things I personally I do not like, because if you need to help the downtrodden people, if you need to help the homeless, the helpless people, I don't feel that you should take a camera along with you to make videos and
Right.
reels,
Yeah.
isn't
It's
it? So
exploiting.
yes, so
Absolutely
yes,
right.
Definitely.
Absolutely right.
this
It's
is something
exploiting people.
so, yes, I have seen it in India.
Actually, yes.
In India also, I have seen that in some videos in the other countries as well. They do in most of the countries. They do this. They will take the camera, make videos for the likes and comments and all that. But genuinely, from the heart, how many are helping the downtrodden people actually?
Um,
So that is a
right.
matter
I
of
would like to,
concern.
yes,
No,
I would
go
like
on.
to say a few things. First of all, many, foreign countries often try to project India as a country of slums. Okay. And they, not only foreign
Yes.
countries, even Indians also try to, make profits out of this kind of portrayal of poor people. That is what Lakshmi was saying, making reels of poor people. But I must say one thing. First of all, our government, not only Bengal government, but our central government has, already declared that there are so many, loan schemes for children. Okay. So for students. So it is not that in India, if a scholar wants to study, okay, or if someone wants to go abroad, then the government deprives him or her of help. It's not like that. So Indian government is quite aware of this kind of system of education, and so projects and several loan schemes have been announced by the government. Number one. Number two, in India, I think, and Sujata Paldesh is also a teacher, we all know that there is no dearth of talent. Okay, thousands of young, bright students are here, crores of young, bright students are here in India, and they can do anything and everything. But the problem is corruption. It is because of this corruption that one particular class of society is getting deprived of whatever that they deserve. And secondly, lack of women's education. And third, because it is, ultimately the mothers train their children. But what is happening in some states of India, women are not getting proper education in one particular section of the society. They get married after 11th standard or 12th standard. So what happens? They are often beaten up. You also, madam, arranged a program on the deprivation of women. So there we discussed about the predicament of Indian women.
Right.
So
Yeah.
women's education is a must. So that is the thing that the government is taking care of. But the mental setup of people hasn't undergone a complete transformation even into
Exactly.
in 2022. One thing I must remind you, I got married at the age of 23. My mother also said that you have become 23, so you must get married, and I was jobless then. So just after my post graduation, I had to get married to the person with whom I was in love. So this kind of mental setup is a part of Indian psyche. People think that once the daughter has grown up, that's all, be financially independent. And because lack of women's education is the root cause of problems. And
Agree. I
secondly,
agree.
the government is declaring many schemes, but they are not implementation of the schemes into the reality is another important thing that Indian government must, focus upon. So these are the problems, and that is why one class of society, the marginalized section of the society, is getting deprived of whatever that they deserve.
Well, I think in America, there are many, many programs for the poor. Many,
I
many
would
programs.
recite,
But yes, would you like
I
to
would
say
recite my
something, sir?
poem. I
Calabeda,
would recite my poem, sister.
you want to recite your poem? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I would recite my poem.
Okay.
Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello. I would recite my poem, sisters. Good evening to all. This topic, raising awareness of the struggles of the impoverished people. This is a very momentous topic, and I would recite my poem entitled The Miserable Conditions of the Have-Not. So, love and compassion to the have-not. Those days will come, I hope, with firm affirmation. The position of the rich and the poor will be equal and the like and the same. We feel pain and grief and miserable pride of the underdog and the struggle of the impoverished of the society. The condition of the street boys and girls, the footpath dwellers, and the impoverished people of the village or city, the condition is very wretched, and who are fighting for food and drink and shelter. They are suffering from malnutrition and disease, and the children of the impoverished people are shivering with biting cold in winter. They are hungry, they are shelterless, and we feel pain and grief. They have no roof on their heads. They look up at the blue sky, heaven, for compassion, pity, and mercy. They are created by the Almighty God. If you raise your awareness against inequality and crusade against poverty with soft and tender heart, with compassion and mercy to redress the miserable pride of the impoverished people of this society. They are the creation of God. We must be aware of the fact that we must raise protest against injustice, against poverty. We must crusade against poverty of the impoverished and underdogs and have-not of the society. We have to remember all are equal in the eyes of God and law. We have right to live equally, and we have freedom. The constitution of all the countries have sanctioned and guaranteed the right to live freely and equally. This is the motto of social life. And I am waiting for the days to come, for the consciousness and transformation of the society. Thanks to all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Very
much.
Thank you,
nice,
Dada.
Excellent.
Very nice,
Yes,
Dada.
excellent.
Very nice.
And I think that's the problem, is that there are governments that do not care about people who are
Right.
impoverished, and they let them just lay there in the streets, and it's a very
Consciousness
bad
and transformation.
experience.
Consciousness and transformation.
Yes,
This
they
is the
just have
motto
no
of the
care.
social life. And our government policies should be the equality and equal distribution of wealth of the nation. Equal
Yes,
distribution of
true,
the wealth of the
true.
nation.
Yeah, and I think in America,
I would
we
like to
try.
share
Yeah, go ahead.
how my battery is something low, so I would like to share something. I would like to share the two different things. Like, there is a country named Haiti. I don't know. Have you heard the country? The name of this country?
Say it again.
Haiti. Haiti.
Haiti.
So,
Hi.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
In that
Haiti.
country,
Spell it.
yes,
Spell it.
Haiti. Haiti.
T-Y.
H-A-I-C-Y. High C. I've never heard of it.
T-T-Y, not C, but T.
I-D.
Haiti.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
Haiti.
H-A-I-T-I.
So,
Yes, I know Haiti.
in that, yes, in that particular country, the per capita income of a person is only 2 rupees. So, and you can feel or you can imagine the wretched condition of the people of that country. And whenever the little children get hungry, the mothers provide them the clay of clay cake to them, and the other times they collect the sand, you can say, or one kind of clay, and taking them with the help of water, they make them clay cake and put them in the sun so that they can be dried. And after that, like just like brick, you can say, whenever their children get hungry or disturb their moms or parents, they provide them such things. So just you can imagine in which civilization or in which situation we are going on. Perhaps it's not so far from us, or it's never possible that we could not help them if we want. So
Amen.
we can, we are, we
People
boast
have
of
gone
our,
to Haiti. Yeah.
we boast
Yeah,
of
they're very
our modern
sad, yeah.
civilization. Yeah.
Very sad
You know?
about Haiti. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's
It's
always been a
it's not that people haven't gone to help them. People have gone to help
Yes.
them. Lots of
Exactly,
people have
exactly.
gone to help them, but unfortunately, it's the government is so corrupt. They do
Yes.
not take the money that is given to them for the people. They take
Yes.
it and use it for
And,
themselves.
And
madam,
we
one
boast
thing
of proud civilized people. So is it the sign of civilization? What to say?
No.
I don't know. What's
that-
your conception regarding this?
It's always
Haiti-
been a very,
Haiti
it's
is
always been a very corrupt government there,
very corrupt.
regardless of
Exactly,
who's
Very
in
corrupt.
rule. And I know when they had one catastrophic event, our former presidents, George Bush, the first George Bush, and Bill Clinton
Yeah.
raised millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for the Haiti people.
And it just
And
went to the government.
And it went, I don't know where the money went to, but it did not go to the people. And
No,
also
and the
my
people
cousin
live
was,
in, yeah,
also my cousin is in the Navy, and he was deployed to Haiti to rescue all the dead bodies of the Haitians out of the water. And he said it was, as a military man that had been deployed in war situations, he said that was the most horrifying situation that he ever saw in his life was in Haiti.
Yes, yes.
It's a
yes.
terribly corrupt government from the shoe lady
The
that was
wretched
there.
condition of Sri Lanka.
And
Sri
I don't
Lanka,
know-
yeah, right. I was just about to say that Sri Lanka, the condition is so
Sri
grave and
Lanka, the
horrible.
wretched condition of Sri Lankan
Lanka
people.
is in that same situation, right? They are not
Yes, Sri
Same
Lanka is.
situation.
taking care
Same
of the
situation.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
going some
Bangladesh,
countries,
I would say
Pakistan.
Bangladesh is in a similar situation. People in Bangladesh, I wish Saeed Khan had come, because Saeed Khan is taking care of children
Yes.
of these
Yes.
impoverished people and
Yes, he's a-
trying to educate them and give them culture and trying to bring them up without having to, use money, and showing them how to garden and how to, grow food and take care of their families. And the families are in such a situation that they can't do anything about it. And they keep having
Barbara,
floods and
that's
all this
like they
stuff.
say, you can give a person a fish and they can eat for a day, but if you teach them how to fish, they can eat
Yes.
forever. And that's what
Exactly.
we
And
need to
so
do.
I wish Saeed had been here, because he does it out of the goodness of his heart, and he has the fund, the Glory Fund, which is trying to raise money to help this group try to help children.
even if you
we
educate a
have not enough
population,
people like this. There are so many organizations in America who are trying to help poor people in neighborhoods where they're trying to raise neighborhoods up. But there's so much corruption, there's so much drug use, there's so much homelessness that it's almost impossible to get through and try to find an answer. And we in America have been trying to find an answer. I know that in India, I read a book. I'm not sure of the title, but it was about just before the Indian Revolution, what it was like for some people who were in the fourth caste, and Indians know what that means. They were the untouchables, and they the caste system had gone by the 70s, but unfortunately by the 60s, or whenever the independence began, I think it was the 60s, right? India became independent in the 60s, sometime in the
No.
50s. Okay.
47.
76 years ago.
1947.
Okay, so these people had to
1947.
live on the streets. They lived on the streets. They lived.
70 years of independence.
He came from his village where he had a home and parents, and he wanted to open his own shoe shop. And he went to live with his aunt, but unfortunately his aunt couldn't keep him there. And so he had to go out and find a place to live. And he found many different places to live. One was a cardboard box. And the other was, unfortunately, when he was pushed out of that by the corrupt people who owned that land, he was pushed to live on the street. And at that time, they were like sweeping the streets of all people who were on the streets. And so he was constantly having to find a new place to live and live on concrete, sleep on concrete, and find food just by, just getting by the goodness of people's hearts. But in the book, this man rises. He rises because he wants to. And he finally has his own shoe shop, by the end of the book. But this is not the case for all people. But the thing I think when you're talking about impoverished people is that you have to have some hope, because if you have no hope for anything, then people find they're living their lives. They don't know where they're going. They have no idea of what to do. And many will commit suicide. Many will do what Mary Lynn said that woman did for her family, and men do for their family. And I just heard in Connecticut, there was a woman who she killed both her children and herself. And I don't know, but that just got to me, because For someone
does
to have
get
to
really
do
bad.
that, they're in a very sad state.
When you lose hopelessness, you have lost everything. You know, you've got to have hope. But you know what? Like you were saying, not giving money, you know, a lot of times is true, because when I lived in these places, I saw it. And it makes a difference when you're living there, you know who the real ones are and who the
Yes.
companies are. So you can give money to the poor when you know they are poor.
Yeah.
But if you are a visitor to a company, I agree with what they told you wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly, don't give your money to just anyone, not unless you really know that you know that you know.
Well,
Now,
you know,
here we,
Absolutely, absolutely.
our church, we support 30 missionaries that go to the country themselves, and we give money to those missionaries, and they do the money. We do not give our money to government at all, not at all.
no,
I
I
will not
wouldn't.
do it.
But
if I
here-
give my money to a missionary that's trying to help to feed the children or try to get the women who are slaves, or, you know, we have missionaries in India really who are in the red light, what I call the red light district, and we are trying to get them out, to show them how to make money without having to do that. So that is the way I spend my money now, because I'm not there. If I was there, I would still be giving money and doing what I could, you know, which I did a lot when I was there. I mean, as far as crocheting sweaters and, you know, whatever I could do, feed them, whatever. And when Ramadan came and all of that, you know, I gave money to the man at the store, and I told him to fix boxes for the homeless that he knew was homeless and needed food, and to give them the things that they really needed, you know, like rice and a little bit of sugar, because they never had sugar, and tea and things like that, you know, things they really, really needed. But this is the way. And orphanages, oh my gosh, you know, to support the orphanages in those places is very, very important too. Because once they reach a certain age, they're put out on the street, and that's it.
Right. Yeah. So in Stamford, where I live, the city where I live, there was construction going on near the railroad station. And because of that, people had to be stopped in cars. So it got so that the beggars were standing on the side of the road with cardboard signs, each one trying to get money from people. So now they have signs saying that there is a fine if they're going to beg, and so they don't allow it anymore. And I always wondered, these guys, they were homeless, and they stood on the side of the road, and that was their job every day, to try and get money. And some people stopped and some people didn't. But there they were, taking in the exhaust fumes and trying to get money. And I thought, they could have had a job somehow, you know, they could have had a job.
But you know, here in the United States now, Barbara, you know, that's not exactly true now. It used to be, yes, but not now, because things after COVID and the way things are now, and with the president we got now, no, it's not the same. People want a job, but they can't get a job.
No,
Well, I'm like Mary Lynn. I lived outside of the United States and lived in South Korea and saw the depth of the worst poverty I ever witnessed in my life. And as I mentioned before in a previous show, if you are born in South Korea and one of your parents is not a citizen of South Korea, then you have no rights whatsoever, and you are beggars with no opportunities. You can educate a population, which is fantastic, but if there are no opportunities after that, then I think you have more of a depressed society. And I agree with Mary Lynn about many things about our government. We started the war on poverty in the 1960s in the USA. It
Correct.
has only expedited in numbers. It actually had the impact of breaking down the family unit, and certain populations became quite prolific at having a home where there was not a father in that home. You can go back. These are statistics that have been reported by the government. They're not just my personal opinion, but
No,
that
sure.
war on poverty actually did a lot of harm in the USA. And now we are faced with so many broken homes, which has created, so much havoc, that people have turned to drugs and depression because they have lost their incentives to be a better person and to utilize what brain cells was given to them. So I do think that the government sometimes create more harm than good. And I do think there are a lot of good organizations, but a lot of them exploit people as well. And I was shocked at the individual that was talking about people filming the homeless people. And that does happen in the USA. That's an exploitation. The dirtiest and lowest thing that you can do to human people is to exploit them and ridicule them and demean them. But there is no answers except what we do from our own heart. And like Mary Lynn said, you have to find an organization or someone that is dispersing that money appropriately and into the poor people. And you can't always believe the people that are on the street corner in the USA that's begging for money, if they're really real or not. Because we had a gentleman that was arrested at least 35 times in Lexington, Kentucky, because he would go out in a wheelchair and then he would, talk as if he had had a stroke so that he could get a lot of money. He was living quite well off of that, but people knew that he was fake, and he'd get arrested and for doing that. So people exploit that as well, so they don't have to go out and actually have a job. And like Mary Lynn stated also, the pandemic, the state of our economy, we have entered a recession. We have not had a recession since the 1970s, and our political people, I don't care if they're Republicans or they're Democrats, they sit in the White House, they sit in Congress, they sit in Senate, and yes, they have their perks. And I don't really think that any of them really know what happens in the American society. And also, I hate the fact that so many people in this world deem that the American people are warmongers or imperialists, because we donate more money to every country in the world than anybody else. And overall, we're very kind-hearted people and very good people. And I don't like, how sometimes the news media projects us at all. And I've lived overseas, I've lived in South Korea, I've lived in Europe, I have traveled extensively, and I know the mindset that a lot of people have about Americans, and I do not like that.
So I have to tell you, Sujata has to leave. Do you want to say a few words before you leave?
Yeah, I would like to share one of my personal experiences. There are so many, but right now I just want to say one example. Like last year, perhaps, I had gone to a shopping mall to buy something. So whenever I had gone there, suddenly my glance fell on a dupatta, chunni. Our salwar kameez that we wear. Then we use this one on the salwar. So it was like the white one, and on white dupatta there was a very small point of a black point. So it was a really beautiful one, and I liked it very much. So I just wanted to know from the helping girl what is the rate of it. So she said, yes ma'am, it's just 200. Immediately one another girl came to me and tell, oh ma'am, how are you? So I had seen her, and I recognized her. That is, I identified her that she was my ex-student in my school. And unfortunately, her mother expired earlier, so she could not continue her study due to her family affairs, and she was needy too. However, whenever I say, "Oh, how are you?" she said, "I am fine," and I am also feeling fine that after a long time you are in front of me, ma'am. So I thought told, "Yes, anything you need?" "No." "So then why are you here?" "No, ma'am, I have got a job here, so I am here." "Oh, you are taking, you are having this chunni?" I said, "Yes." And "Do you like it?" "Yeah, ma'am. Actually, I was about to buy it yesterday, but unfortunately, as I don't have any money, any enough money, or they will cut my money from my salary, so I couldn't buy it." "Oh, it's okay, it's okay. You are taking at least." I said, "No, you are so junior to me, a little princess, and you like it. Now you can have it. Yes, I am paying." She said, "No, no, no, you have just chosen that chunni, and how can I take this?" I said, "Are I am your senior, and I am your teacher too. So it would be my pleasure if you take it." Firstly, out of shyness, she forbade, or she rejected the idea. But immediately I uh, found that, or I noticed that her eyes were sparkling in joy. And the feelings of that joyful moment, I just can't share with
Yes,
you.
absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And
Wonderful.
whenever I have handed it over to her, she just immediately put on it, and in this way she was like trying to uh,
It's more blessed to give than to receive.
yes,
It is.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
it
Oh
is.
yeah.
There's it was really a brilliant moment. I can't feel, or I can share exactly. So this is the thing, that one can't feed, or one can't help everyone in the society, but one should help in his or her own ability.
Yes.
And this joy is the real joy that
Oh
we
yes.
can't, yes, that we can't find donating caches in the temples, because we can't see whether our God is having food through our caches or not. But the living God, we are facing each other every day in our daily life. That's the real joy. So
That is what I said in my poem, that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
one small act of kindness can bring a big difference.
exactly,
So
exactly.
if each one of us can do a small act of kindness, I think
Yes, yes.
the condition of so many people will actually change.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a
And
very good
one,
idea. It's
and
a
then
very
another
good idea.
small instance I can give you. One day I was on my way to my school, and that very day I saw a rickshaw puller who was carrying his vegetables in his vehicle, and suddenly a lorry collided his um, what to say, the vehicle, the small vehicle, and all the potatoes were rolling over the bridge, and everybody was passing through those potatoes, and he was crying so loudly, so bitterly. I just um, uh, got down from my vehicle, and was rushing here and there to collect his potatoes, but no was paying any attention to his things, his important things, which is his that day's income. But everybody was going unhesitatingly over his potatoes, either by foot or by crushing them with their
That
vehicles.
is really so
So
bad.
What a terrible
dangerous, so
story.
dangerous. I was crying with him. What is going on? He is crying so bitterly, "Please save my potatoes, I have no fault at all." a lorry had collided over my vehicle. So it
Vehicle.
was, it's happening. So please help, please help. But nobody was paying attention. I just cried and tried to collect maximum potatoes and handed it over his vehicle. And he was blessing me. At that very moment too, I felt so much blessed that yes, at least I have helped him. I have tried to help him to earn his today's income. And
These
this was
are
also,
genuine cases.
yeah. So
Genuine
I
cases
always,
where
It has to be individual efforts and not to the point of wanting accolades for doing that. And because I know working in the healthcare community, I met a lot of people that were impoverished or homeless, and I did individual efforts to help these people, which I could have been fired for doing it because it could have been deemed as we were bribing them and to recruit them for more healthcare needs. But I did not care. They could fire me all they wanted to, because I was going to do what was the right thing and what I felt I needed to do for an individual. But it has to be individual efforts, because you can't always trust your government. You can't always trust organization, to include religious organizations, because I know of one religious group that was in South Korea that exploited the people, and they made sure that they left that country with a lot of their ancient pottery. I'm getting poetry, and so many of their valuable assets in that country. So you cannot trust these organizations. You have to make sure that you are 100% positive that they are existence. But the best thing is, as was stated, and was that we have to do this on an individual basis. Our little small act of kindness goes a long way. And if we all continue to do that, we can make a difference. And because, I read all these poetries every day about how much people care and how much, they're heartbroken over the impoverished people. But, words are meaninless without action.
Without action.
yes, exactly. And one real thing that so many are there, I know that to avoid taxes from the government, they are donating cash to the temples, but they are reluctant to help the needy ones. This is really dangerous one. I just feel how what to say them. Are they real human being, or can we consider them as a true human being who has no humanity at all? Really.
people have lost their sensitivity. That was my last line of my poem. That where has that sensitivity gone? People are so much into the race. Everybody is trying to rush to where nobody knows. Like that rush is never going to end. So in that rush, in that race, people have forgotten the sensitivity, the issues, the humanity. People have really forgotten. And if we remember just maybe a handful, people have stopped showing kindness. There are so many cases like that. It's really sad. I feel so bad.
I just heard, speaking of kindness, it doesn't have to do with anything that we're talking about now, but it does have to do with kindness. There was a personality, a TV radio personality, Garrison Keillor. Garrison Keillor, have you heard of him? He's he used to have a radio program in Indiana, and he is a very intelligent man, and he moved to Connecticut, and he was on a subway train, and he had gotten out to check to see if he was at 42nd Street. And he was in between the subway train and the platform, and the subway doors started to close on him like this. so that only like his head would have been there. And this gentleman came up, this very strong man, and pushed the doors aside for him so that he could get back into the train. But the man, Garrison Keillor, was so shaken by this event that he got onto the platform and had to get another train. But the thing is, this man who did not know him came to his aid like that. And there are many, many people who do these kinds of things every day, these little tiny things, like the little boy who gave the food, and you who helped this person pick up the things that he dropped. And it's these acts of kindness that we do as human beings that keep us human in the world. And a lot of people say that New York is a terrible place full of awful people, but the truth is there are some very wonderful, kind-hearted people who will help you if you are in trouble in it. It's happened to me that I've been helped when I was in New York and fell on the street. An entire family stopped to help me. And even though I had my children there, they stopped to help me. And people stopped it. But we have to have this feeling of kindness toward people who are impoverished. And I think there's been too much government, and even too much religion, because religions, unfortunately, have an agenda. But if you help someone without an agenda, that is the secret to true kindness to someone. And the way to help them is by, I wish Saeed Khan was here, is by educating them, by showing them that they can do things. I mean, there are many, many places now in America where we have in poorer communities gotten people to help each other. I just recently saw in a poor community in Stamford that they had a community garden. And I was thrilled to see that, because this community has been poor for so long, and I saw a community garden and I was really happy, because community gardens give people a chance to grow food and to get together and have socializing, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So I think that we as people kind of need to do this. We need to see the world and what has happened and help people in any way we can. And as poets, I mean, our poems are very important. We should publish these. We should publish these. We should get them together and publish them, because poetry helps people really to understand what's going on in the world. And I think these poems are very, very powerful, and they will help people to see what is going on. So we should put them in motivational strips. We should put them in our poetry groups, and just put them in our books. And anyway, anybody have anything else to say? Priyanka had to leave. Her daughter, she told me her daughter had to go to the doctor earlier and she still needed her. So
I think charity begins at home, and I do most of my charity and kindness and assisting people in my own community before I go outside of my own community or to a different country. And it's not that I do not want to assist, but I just think that where I live is the most important place where I can render aid to people and to anyone. And the world has changed, but we can reverse all the negativity, and we can grow love, grow kindness, and just grow what is really important on earth. And our purpose is love, compassion, and respect for each other. Nothing else really matters.
Absolutely. And we have these drives in our apartment complex where we're collecting food, we collect supplies for children, we collect toys at Christmas, and this kind of thing can help. But I think it's the mindset of the government. You have to be proactive in getting your government to understand that people who are impoverished need help in a certain way. I mean, we had we gave to people like Melissa said, the war on poverty and giving stipends to people. It's very important that when you are without money, the government gave us stimulus during COVID, and it really helped us. I mean, I'm on a fixed income. If I always think without my children, I'd be like, I don't know where I'd be, because my income is so low. And without my children, I don't know if I could survive. But I got a stimulus during COVID, and they gave us another stimulus, and they gave people another stimulus, and the government helped to stimulate its own economy. And now we're suffering now because we have inflation. People have bought too much. But the thing is, when you see a need for something, I think it's important to go ahead and do it. Just do it. Just if you want, you should definitely help in your community. I think helping out with impoverished people in your community is the best thing. I mean, work to help to bring food, get food to people. That's the most important thing. People who are without food, that's without saying, that's the most important thing. But also education and trying to give hope. I think trying to give hope with things like a community garden, you give people hope. Things growing in the earth are giving hope. And Saeed Khan told me that he is trying to do that, and he's trying to bring poetry to his little group of kids who are, and have you ever heard some of these kids speak? They're amazing. And so groups of people who are impoverished need our help, but we also need to have the mindset that we have today, that all people are equal, and that we want them to become even more equal and to have the opportunities that everyone should have, I mean, everyone.
It's only by the grace of God that we don't go there.
Exactly. And I'm just lucky that I have my children who continue to put up with me. And
I mean, I really was not being flattering to the war on poverty that was initiated in our country in the 1960s, because it grew poverty and households without fathers and unwed mothers. And I know, working in healthcare, that my most shocking experiences was a 25-year-old female that had already had 17 pregnancies.
Oh.
Some of them were spontaneous abortions, which are miscarriages. Some were aborted, and the ones that did survive were taken away from her because she was so abusive. Another shock to me was a 28-year-old female that was a biological grandmother of that delivered a baby. And the government can only do so much, but once you take the incentive away from people to help themselves, to educate themselves, and to go beyond the projects, to go beyond the poverty, things will not change. And educational opportunities are available for anybody that's born in the USA. There's a lot of poor people that have raised themselves up out of poverty, become nurses, physicians. One of my best friends is a nurse. I'm very good friends with her, that was raised on the wrong side of the tracks in poverty, but she became a nurse, and a very good nurse, and a very compassionate nurse. So, you know, I don't really trust the government for helping people. I think they've done more harm than good. And, but I'm glad that the money is there for the mothers and the children. I would never want to take that away from them, but these things have to be reversed.
I think anyone who is in a situation where they have no money needs to get money, but they have to use that money to try and find a way to live. So if you give people money, then you need to educate them, and you need to show them how to, you know, how to work and do well. But I was a teacher in a very poor area, and there were classes where there were wonderful students who tried very hard no matter what the situation, and then there were kids who just could not keep up, and so they made trouble. And they made it a lot of trouble for teaching, because when you're teaching students who are disruptive, the disruptions take away from the education. But still, those children were able to learn and move on. So they just put blinders on like this, didn't care what was going on, and did their work. So you have people like that, but you have to constantly be adding more and more of these kinds of learners to, you know, to the education system. And the only way you can do that is by really, really, really looking at education. And we have done that in America and tried to look at it and to help kids who are in a situation. And most of the time, kids who are in that situation are people who did not get the opportunities that they needed when they were very, very young. I mean, you all, I'm sure, have read to your children. You know, this is common. You don't have children, but you will. When you have children, read to them. And I know that you've all read to them when they were very, very little. And that is the key to getting children to read. But the parents of these children did not read to them.
Well, you know, we have a shortage of teachers in Kentucky right now. And one of the main reasons is because of, instead of, you know, discussing their concerns or complaints, maybe with the educational board or principals, are putting it on Facebook, and people see this negativity. But when I was growing up, and I moved around because my dad had a high level position with the United States government, you know, whether I was in, you know, Illinois, Utah, South Korea, Germany, wherever I lived, the classrooms, the teacher did not have to worry about disruptive students, because there was not that big breakdown of families yet as there is now. So children, regardless of their economic background, they knew how to be respectful to the teachers and respectful to the other students. And of course, when I was in the military areas, you know, it was people of the same similar backgrounds, but some of the civilian areas I was in, you know, it was people from, you know, the poor to the upper echelon. And so it is the breakdown of the family that has created that havoc in the classrooms. And it is obvious that we need to go back to some old-fashioned values.
Yeah, it is the breakdown of the family, but it's also the lack of resources in certain communities for anything to happen. And
it's true, but my
unfortunately,
mother,
yeah,
mother and father both were born extremely poor, extremely poor. You know, every one of my dad and his siblings became educated and had very successful careers. So we can say that, you know, without resources, that there are issues. But at one time in the USA, there was more people without financial resources than now. And none of them even had the government assistance that people can tap into
well, I
now.
have to say, yeah, I have to say though that there was a lot more assistance from family and extended family.
It has to be.
And there isn't that kind of assistance anymore. Your family could be scattered all over the country. Your family could be gone. There's all kinds of ways that you could lose your family. And when people lose their extended family, there's this lack of help on that side. And so, yes, the government is trying to take over. Yes, welfare is something that I've always hated my whole life, but I know I also have hated the situation that in order to get welfare assistance, they had to be, without a man, which really, I never could understand that, why they couldn't have a man there. But I think they were trying to keep the birth rate from happening. So
But that
I-
only
it only
expedited.
exacerbated it, because women would then go from man to man. And there are seriously some women who have children with 4 or 5 men. I mean,
And there's also, I don't know if you know, but in the projects, especially, I know this from, a family member living in the Nashville area, that those projects and all throughout the United States, the first of the month, when the women are being compensated financially, is Mother's Day, because there are so many young males, and it's almost a badge of honor, that have created babies with maybe 6 to 12, up to 20 women, and they go in for their share of that welfare money. And,
Okay. If you
and-
permit, the dear Barbara ma'am and everyone, please allow me to leave, because my
oh, yeah,
family
no,
members
sure.
are
Thank
waiting
you
for
for staying so
before the
long,
dinner.
Suplata,
Yes,
and for
Barbara ma'am, here,
sharing your
same here
stories.
also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually,
Same
it's
here,
dinner
I have
time.
to.
And we will be back next month.
Sure,
So
sure.
please join us.
It's 10 o'clock.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. And
Thank
I am also feeling happy to share the same stage with you. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I would like to invite all of you in my show again too.
Oh, yes,
And
please. Yes, I
it's
love
always
your
an
show.
honor to be on your
precious
show.
presence.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I will get up for
Within
your
a few
show.
days, I would like to start, because it was my daughter's exam, and now the result has been published. So right now something.
Oh,
free.
yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Take care, and greetings from India once again. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye. God
Take
bless
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, I need to go as well.
Yeah, I
And
think we all should go. But
Yes.
do you remember which is our next?
we haven't decided yet, and we'll have to discuss that in Messenger with each other.
Yes,
And
but
I have taken, okay. I have taken some pictures. So
Oh,
I'll
thank
be,
you.
I'll be sending it in the group.
oh,
Oh,
good.
thank you,
Yes.
Lakshmi.
You,
I was wondering how we would get those. Thank you so much.
I just took them, and I'll be sending them in the group. You can make a collage and then post it.
Okay, well, I'm going to end the recording now.
Love
Okay.
y'all.
And then we can still
Bye-bye.
stay here.
Kisses from
Bye-bye.
Kentucky.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
You
Good
can
night.
stay, but I'm